ahead of Saturday's planned No Kings protest. On Thursday, Governor Greg Abbott directed the Department of Public Safety and the Texas National Guard to, quote, surge forces into Austin. Governor Abbott said Texas will not tolerate chaos and said the protest is linked to Antifa, which is designated as a domestic terrorist organization by the Trump administration back in September. The move praised by some, Senator Ted Cruz on X saying exactly right to the governor's action. The move was also criticized. Texas House Representatives Minority Leader Gene Wu said in a statement, quote, sending armed soldiers to suppress peaceful protests is what kings and dictators do, and Greg Abbott just proved he's one of them. Sophia Murto is the organizer for Austin's No King protest, and she emphasized the protest is meant to be a peaceful demonstration.
No Kings nationwide is a non-violent movement. We've been very clear about that.
When asked if the protest is linked to Antifa, Murto said Antifa is not a real organization.
It's a word that some pundits use to discredit the hardworking Americans that want to live in a democracy and are organizing, doing their civic duty, using their First Amendment rights.
DPS, in response to their planned involvement at the protest, said in a statement to KXAN that they believe in Texans' rights to free speech and assembly, but emphasized, quote, as with any demonstration or event, it is never acceptable to interfere with official police duties.
The goal for us specifically in Austin is to make sure that everyone knows how to union up, to group up, to organize up.
And KXAN has reached out to the governor's office on how they determined that the protest was Antifa linked, and we haven't got a response back, but we will update the story online if a response is given. And we also reached out to the Mayor Kirk Watson's office. In a statement, he told us that we are told that the Guard will not be on the streets of Austin unless there is a determination that there is an emergency need.
Okay, Kevin, just map out the day for us. What will Saturday look like?
Well, Saturday will look like the protest will start at the Texas Capitol at 2 p.m. and then from there will be some speeches from leaders from the movement. They'll move at 2:30 and they'll march to auditorium shows and from 3 to 5:30, they will unite with a dozen different orgs to talk more about the movement. Organizers say they will plan to wrap up by 5:30 to 6 p.m.
And Kevin, you were out there for the first big No Kings protest. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, the protest for the most part was pretty much peaceful. It was only a little bit afterwards where there were some people that were walking through the streets of Congress. They were causing a little bit of a ruckus. Speaking with Sophia today, that's why they are marching before the protests, because they have the permits available to avoid any things getting out of hand, to avoid any chaos happening.
All right, we'll see what happens. Thanks you very much, Kevin, for that. And now going in depth on this for some insight on Antifa. It is short for anti-fascist. And despite the White House's designation that it's a terrorist group, according to government records, Antifa is not a single organization, and the group has no central leadership. It's a movement made up of activists who oppose far and authoritarianism. Members often organize protests against racism, white supremacy, and extremist groups. And while most actions are peaceful, some have involved confrontations, drawing criticism and controversy.